Hey guys, Mr. Bouchard here, and we're going to talk about Notes 9.2, which is on soil. Alright, first off, I want to start with these three very different types of soil. Obviously, you can see different things that are about each of these. Number one, their color. Alright, so color can tell you obviously what minerals are present. It also can tell you what's maybe extra present in the soil. So we're going to talk more about that in a moment. The size of the sediment also. These are larger sediment in this one. These are, kind of a medium size, and then these are the smallest sediment out of the group. All right, but definitely what is present in them is going to be the key to the story here. All right, so let's talk about how we get these very different types of soil. Okay, so soil is a part of the regolith. Regolith is just a fancy term for the loose material on the Earth's surface. So the loose part of the part of the regolith that will support rooted plants. It's a combination of weathered minerals from rock and organic matter. All right, so to make it soil, it has to have that organic matter component, and that's what gives the soil its darker color, as you guys know. So that darker brown color, almost black looking at times. All right, that's organic matter. There are two major types of soil. Residual. Residual means it's formed from the surrounding rocks in the area. So the rocks right under the soil. This is a very rare situation. I always see the word residue in this. So stuff left behind. That's a very rare situation because you guys know things are going to be moving rocks all over the surface of the earth. So this is definitely not as common. What's instead common is what's called transported soil. So it's soil that's moved from one area to another place. So this is very common to happen. And the next term that we're going to be talking about in the next couple days, erosion, that's obviously going to be all transported material. Okay, so soil formation. So how does it get there? So rock begins to get weathered at the Earth's surface. The top layer breaks down. The solid rock underneath becomes exposed to water, animals, plant roots, and you guys learn from more exposure means breakdown of more material. And the result, this is going to create soils that are very different at different depths below the soil. So we call this soil horizons. So you get these horizontal layers where the soil begins to transition from one horizon to the next. So we'll talk about that. So if you ever dug a hole to put a big tree in the ground, you know all about this. All right, so let's take a look at this. So when you're digging, obviously the first layer that's very thin on the top, that's organic material, so we call it the O horizon. Next, underneath that, still pretty nice soil. This is what we plant our grass in, also known as topsoil. This is rotting plants, finely decomposed rocks, so still pretty small sediment size and also filled with organic matter. All right, you get deeper, you start hitting rocks. So the B horizon is composed of rock, some rotten plants, so we call this mineral soil. So that's where the soil starts getting a little worse. And then if you keep digging, you'll end up with the weathered rock that starts hitting your shovel. All right, that's called the C horizon. And then lastly, Long Island here, we don't have this layer, but if you were upstate New York, you'll eventually hit bedrock. Bedrock obviously is unweathered rock, and solid rock can be at certain depths below the surface depending on where you are. Long Island, we're a big glacial deposit, so you're not going to see that unweathered bedrock. Okay, so how does soil change over time? So it can transition basically. So from an immature soil to a mature soil. Okay, so if you start getting some plant material in here, obviously you're going to introduce more organic matter. That organic matter will lead to even more plants in the future because you're going to start growing some layer of topsoil by the organic matter collecting here. So topsoil will begin to collect on top of that partly weathered bedrock, and then finally that topsoil will get bigger, and you'll even get like a second layer, which we call the horizon B, below that horizon A. And then of course O will be that thin layer at the top. They just didn't show that here. All right, so pretty much that's the progression. So the more organic matter that is in the soil, the more plant growth, and obviously that's going to lead to more plants in the area in general. And so when planting trees, we use peat moss, and sometimes even just we dump a bag of extra topsoil in it. All right, reason why? Because it contains more organic matter. Right, organic matter is needed for plant growth, and obviously the older the soil is, it loses a lot of this over time from erosion, weathering and erosion of that soil. So we need to restore that, restore the nutrients. So that's also the key thing. You do get some organic matter no matter what, but the nutrients go away. So this is an extra boost for the nutrients in the soil. All right, so that's it for soils, and I'll see you guys next time.